Hey YouTube Nation, it's me, Jen, and I'm nothing if not intense. It's Sunday, August 12th, and I've just been sitting here pondering the scope of the whole October 1st shooting and how amazing the LVMPD is, because honestly, they pretty much had this thing in the bag a couple hours in. They put the press release out. They identified the lone suspect. The FBI was setting up their tip line, wanting all their information. When you look at the final report, really, within their narrative and what they want us to take from that final report, is there really any difference in what they were telling us within, and I'm given some leeway here, within 24 hours of this happening? To me, there's not much that they're freely giving us. Obviously, there's a lot of things that myself and a lot of other YouTubers out there have found and analyzed and researched and dug for. And when you look at the totality, when you look at the numbers, for me personally, when I look at the sheer numbers of the response, the cost, my opinion, there is no way in hell that it was one shooter. So if you can just take a look at things from that perspective, and I'm going to run through some numbers, and I wish I had this awesome list with all this stuff on it, and I don't. It's in my head, and I just don't feel like putting it down on paper or typing it into Word or Excel or whatever. So let's just go over a few things here. For the response, there are 9 command centers within Metro. Just within Metro. So that's Bolden, Enterprise, Convention Center, Downtown, Northeast, Northwest, South Central, Southeast, Spring Valley. You can bet your booty that officers from all those command centers were there. We have Nevada Highway Patrol, Southern. We have Henderson PD, we have Henderson SWAT, we have Henderson Fire. We have North Las Vegas SWAT, we have North Las Vegas PD, we have North Las Vegas Fire, we have Clark County Fire, we have FBI, we have FBI SWAT, we have DHS, we have their saturation team, and they're this team, and they're that team. We have the DEA, we have the ATF, we have the U.S. Marshals, we have City Marshals, we have Capitol Police, we have UNLV Police, we had the Clark County School PD. And let's not forget, we had 30 officers and 1 helicopter that came from southern LA, from California. We had 120 private ambulances. We had over 100 first responders, firefighters, EMTs. 59 strike teams, probably more because there was some duplication of numbers. Because, say, like North Las Vegas had their team number 1, 2, and 3. Metro had team 1, 2, and 3. Henderson had 1, 2, and 3. So, 59 strike teams, there was probably more than that. Force Pro teams, those are the teams that are PD and fire EMTs together. 3.2 million in overtime costs. $3.2 million in overtime costs. So this is for one suspect who apparently, by their story, committed suicide sometime between 10:15 and 11:20. A state of emergency was declared by Clark County on October 2nd, the following day, at like 2:45 in the afternoon. A state of emergency was declared because of one person who shot a gun for 10 minutes the night before. Does that seem realistic to anybody, that those resources, those costs, those things that were happening were associated with one person? Maybe it does to you, but for me, when you step back and take a look at that, I would say that anybody that didn't hear the narrative and just somebody said, hey, this is what happened, this was the response and things that happened, what do you think caused that? What would you think would cause all those resources, all those costs, a state of emergency to be declared? I mean, the Strip was, it was hammered, right? They'd probably say, geez, I don't know, a terrorist attack? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I say terrorist attack, and it's a terrorist attack, but with deep state. There are so many layers to this thing. There are so many layers to this thing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And they did a good job of convoluting everything and getting us distracted and things like that. So I do have to give them some credit there, because they have done a good job. But I don't know if people are aware that they declared a state of an emergency the next day, and I can show you that. Maybe. Sure. Hold on. So here's the declaration. And I've known about this for a long time, but I don't know if I've ever heard anybody else really talk about it. To me, it's pretty significant that at about 2:45 on Monday, they did this declaration because of the shooting, whereas recent global events have shown that large gatherings of people provide attractive targets to terrorists and others who wish to cause physical and economic harm to the community. And the tragic event has the unfortunate distinction of being the largest mass shooting in U.S. history. There's a significant number of community resources in public safety, healthcare, and emergency management that have been expended and will continue in the days and weeks to come. So that has left the Strip very strained with the public safety and first responder resources, and left other parts of the community very vulnerable. So the county manager finds that potential threats exist to the health, life, safety, and welfare of persons and property. So the county manager of Clark County does proclaim, under the provisions of blah, 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 that the potential for a state of emergency does exist in Clark County. Governor Sandoval had to sign off on this, and I think he signed off on it about an hour later at about 3:45 p.m. on October 2nd. So it's significant. I just find it truly amazing that one person could cause all this carnage. It's almost like he was superhuman. Well, and I was being facetious about, hey, the LVMPD had it in the bag within two hours, really. I was not praising them at all. I mean, they had started their narrative within a couple hours or so. That's what they did. And, you know, they, for the most part, did a good job. You know, they hem-hawed on whether the suspect shot himself, whether they engaged. You know, there was some, I don't think there was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be a straight-on, yep, he committed suicide before we breached the door. But Sheriff Joe kind of bungled that up. But he tried to recover best he could. Because what I've found on some of the body cam, and I haven't had a chance to really go and sync the times, but all of a sudden, I know there's at least 2, if not 3, different body cams that all of a sudden, and it's before they breach, that an officer will say, I'm thinking that the suspect 405'd, and 405 is a suicide. You have another officer say, usually in events like this, the shooter commits suicide. So I'm going to say probably maybe 20 minutes or so. And again, I have to go back and get my times on that stuff. All of a sudden, there were these statements being made by these officers on these body cams. And I found that very, very interesting that they're just coming out with, yeah, I bet the person committed suicide. Yeah, they 405'd. So I think at that point, there was some communication somehow under the table that this is what the story's going to be, is no matter what happens, whatever the situation is, it's going to be this dude committed suicide. So I'll be working on that. The final report, to me, it's pretty much the same fairy tale that they released in January, just with some added characters and a little bit more detail of the storyline, the fairy tale. So I did find it interesting that the FBI is all, their footprint is way bigger on this than Metro's will ever be. Because everything that the Metro officers, like when they went to the Ogden, if the officer did get that surveillance, boop, here comes the FBI to take it over. All those warrants for the houses and things, there was something signed stating, yeah, we're going to recover this evidence, but then we're going to turn it over to the FBI. The FBI was there from minute one, partnering with Metro. No, they weren't partnering with Metro. They were taking over the damn investigation. What else did I want to say? Oh, shoot. Oh, and it did answer the question of where the F are the gloves. And I didn't realize that the pistol, or the one gun that, the handgun that he supposedly killed himself with, the FBI took the gloves and the handgun from the scene. And also, if you look at the summary of the autopsy of Paddock's, or whoever it was, his autopsy, you know, they didn't call the coroner's office until 11-something the next day, on Monday, to say that there was a death in that room in 135. So the person from the coroner's office gets there at about 11:35, meets with Alsup, the FIT detectives. They gave her, well, it says it's signed by Tiffany, so I'm saying her. They gave her the, you know, circumstances, and they said that they requested that the decedent remain on scene as FBI was responding, but they expected that to be several hours before their arrival. So the decedent remained on scene until FBI and LVMPD was ready for removal of the body. I don't know why they put LVMPD in there, because it had nothing to do with them. And actually it had nothing to do, this was even taken out of the FBI, the Las Vegas field office hands. These were agents that were coming from D.C., coming directly from D.C. They shit-canned Metro and the field office, in my opinion. And I do have some 4chan post about that. You know, and again, the reliability of that, I don't know, but it does make sense. So they did not even remove that body from that room until 9 p.m. Monday night. So I found that very, very interesting, and that the gloves and that handgun were taken by FBI. So that never went to the coroner's office, along with the rest of the stuff. Mary Lou Danley's DNA was found in the room, obviously, because she was there. Oh my gosh. And I'm so sorry, but every time I talk about that, I just get so just pissed off and frustrated because, so we're going to do a little bit more work on that. I just wish I was so much better at this stuff, because I have so much info. I just have a hard time putting it together. Just time-wise. Just for the time, and then if I want to find, I'm looking for one piece of something for what I want to do, but then I find something else and I go off on that way. So I apologize. But anyway, I just want people to know, and maybe everybody does know, but I guess I never really saw anything about it. But I think that declaration of emergency is significant. That's something that I don't think was really ever talked about, even in the mainstream media. Because again, it's not going to bode well for their narrative. Not, at least in my opinion, it doesn't. So hopefully I have more to come. Hopefully I'll put it together in a more succinct manner. But I'm just sitting here plugging away, doing the best I can. I appreciate everybody's support. Comment, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will talk with you soon. Have a good one, guys.